Ooh, hold on. The bathroom fan is on. I like am very. I was talking to my uh, person the other day, and he had mentioned that like I was tuning out the sound of my seatbelt. You know that beep, and then you drive a little, and it's like doo, doo, doo. Drive a little. Doo, doo, doo. And I've learned to like tune out really loud noises, probably because I grew up next to the freeway or highway. No, it's the freeway. Highway's like bigger, but I grew up next to 101, like literally my backyard 101. And so because of that, I'm very used to loud noises. So moving to the city, actually, I feel like, funny enough, being in San Francisco, I feel like it's quieter, and I live on like two of the main streets on SF. Like when you're coming into SF, you're probably going to pass by my apartment unless you're going to outer Richmond. So I am like dead center city. Most people are going to pass my place of living on the way into the city. And so I feel like it's quieter here than it is where I grew up. And that should say something. Because, like, right now, if I'm quiet, absolutely nothing, which is crazy. Anyways, welcome to Ooh Girl, You Still Losing Weight with your host, Dia Z. I had it clipped to my thing, but it sounded a little scratchy. I'm wondering, I love this cute fuzzy thing. It's like very aesthetic. However, I don't think I have mastered the volume yet, but I do like the way that this sounds. I think it's a little bit more clear than when I was just like yelling into the camera kind of vibes. Okay, so today's episode is basically about how to get back on track. I myself have fallen off track. So when I started this podcast, I was like, I'm going to do an episode every Sunday, post every Monday, we're good to go. I haven't posted since like April. And I think a lot of it was the binge eating, the eating disorder, everything that I've talked about on here just combined into one. I think the last video I did was like, I was feeling like bleh. And I have a lot of insecurities. Like my person and I were talking, and he literally was like, we all get one thing. And I feel like my one thing has been my struggle with like overeating, binge eating, and just like the insecurity I've had around my body. And like that's rough because what it does is it help like basically when your insecurity is the one thing that everybody can see about you, it makes it very hard to hide. Like if I was a drug addict, functional, if there's such a thing, I don't think so because I live in San Francisco. Drug addiction is not something you can hide easily. But like let's say it was like my drug of choice was something like, I don't know, it was a little bit easier to conceal. You can conceal it because nobody sees you when you're high. Unless it starts to interfere with your regular day life, which basically any addiction that you have, anything that you have, it will start to show if you don't have control over it and if you don't like really learn to come to terms with it. So I kind of had like another come to Jesus moment. I've had a lot of those this year. Um, but I think what's different now is I I don't want to be who I'm not. So I think for a long time, a lot of my genuine interest in weight loss has been I want to look good so I can get validation. And I did get that validation for a while. But then it went away. And I realized like validation from men, women, whoever doesn't really matter. What matters is like what you're willing to live with. I'm a very sporty person. When you're running at the weight that I am versus the weight that I used to be, it's a world of a difference. So that's a huge reason why I want to lose weight is like, girl, you're biking up this hill and it's like, it's not easy for you to do in this body. You're running up this hill and it's not easy for you to do in this body. You're getting these aches and pains, and a lot of it is because you're carrying extra weight. So, enough of the weight piece. I want to talk about the mental health piece. So, for me, mental health with falling off track specifically has to do with the habits that I have. My habits were I would eat in the morning, I would eat at lunch, and then I would eat in night, and then maybe I'd have one or two snacks in between. What started to happen and what I noticed last year, all last year I worked with a personal trainer. I was able to stay on track because I had someone literally messaging me being like, Dia, like it was just so consistent. This time I had to be the one like motivating myself. And it's really hard to do it on your own. which is why a lot of these like online fitness influencers are like, come join me in my group. Like, you don't necessarily need to follow their plan, but like just having a community of people that you can turn to is really helpful. So I think I'm starting this podcast because I think a lot of us who have struggled with our body, and that's like our thing, like we all get one thing, right? My one thing is happens to be my weight and food specifically. Because I wouldn't say it's really the weight that bothers me. It's not the number that bothers me. Of course, the number is high, but it's what I carry when I look at that number that really bothers me. And so that's where I'm kind of at, where I'm like, girl, we're going to have to tighten it up with our lifestyle because now it's starting to affect you in a lot of other areas. So that's kind of where I feel about like my body, my weight, and all those things. And I would say if you are someone who struggles with overeating or being stressed with your mental health and then it turning to food to cope, a lot of that stems from inauthentic lifestyle. So I think for a really long time, I was kind of feeling like I was stuck in a life that I didn't want to be in. It was not my choice. Now I'm in a life that, like, even today, I could change everything in my life right now if I really wanted to. I could just be like, I no longer want to do this. And it would hurt me in the sense that I might lose friendships, I might lose relationships, I might lose contact with certain people. But if I really wanted to make a change, at the end of my lease, I could say, like, I'm just going to sell everything that I own, go live in a friggin' van, work as a teacher, pay off every single one of my debts. Once all my debts are paid off, I'll go back and find my own place. Like, I could do that today. I could literally go find a cheap town to live in somewhere in California, buy an old van that like somewhat works, get a mechanic to fix it up for me, and then just pay off all my debts. Like, I could do something so extreme, but like I don't want to do that because it's not what I'm actually authentically looking for. It would just create another set of problems, you know? The problems that I have today are the problems that I want, but some of them are also brought on by my own inaction to really do what I want to do. What do I mean by that? For example, this past couple of months, I've been feeling like, okay, I really want to lose weight. I really want to do this thing. But then every time I get to that place, I then start doing habits that aren't helping me. I start munching on cookies. I start buying chips. I start overeating bags. I start doing all these different things. Like yesterday, I ate an entire bag of those Dinamita, Dynamita. They're like old. Like they've been around for a minute, but I feel like they've just recently had a resurgence in chip life. I don't know why. I don't eat Takis. I don't eat hot Cheetos because those shits like they be messing up my stomach. And I ate that whole bag yesterday and it messed up my stomach. I don't know why I did that, but it was just like, I need to eat it, right? Then I look at my period tracker and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm 5 days away from my period. Duh, I want carbs. So then I was like, you know what? Let me go buy hamburger ingredients. And I did. And today I made a bomb ass hamburger, you guys. I made, oh my God, it was so good. Oh, it was, of course, a beef patty. I had bought buns because I used to feel like I can't eat a burger with buns. I only eat it with a salad wrap. Now I'm like, girl, if you want the burger, you better eat that burger. Okay. I did like the regular like buns. I did half an avocado on the bottom. Well, so I'm a mustard girly. Some of y'all are like, ew. I love mustard on everything, especially yellow mustard. I like some Dijon mustard. Sometimes they can be too strong. And then honey mustard, depends. It depends. And spicy mustard also depends. So like really my two favorite mustards are like the yellow mustard, like any whatever regular yellow mustard, and then like some Dijons. Some are a little bit too like tangy for me, but for the most part, like if you give me a type of mustard, I will really enjoy the tangy flavor. So anyways, put mustard on both buns on the bottom because I always start my burgers with mustard. I like to have the undertaste of mustard. Sometimes I'll cut it with mayo, but because I've learned a lot about macros, I've learned that if I have too many fats in something, it makes me sleepy. So I avoided mayonnaise because I didn't want to have mayonnaise and avocado. That's like too much fat. And otherwise, I would have just not had avocado and I would have just done mayo and mustard to have an aioli, right? So I didn't do any mayo. So I did mustard on the buns, avocado on the bottom bun, and then I did the patty. And then on the other bun, I did the lettuce and the tomato, and I just smashed it all together with my spatula, like smash, 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 and made it like a smash burger, like that style. It wasn't really like where they're smashing the burger and making it hella flat because I'd already cooked the patty, but I just made it so that like everything sat together. So when I ate it, it didn't just like fall apart. Of course, it still fell apart. Some avocado fell out, but it was delicious. And it was like one of those things where I was like, I am not making all these crazy food rules. And the only food rule I gave myself was no mayonnaise and avo because I know from my own experience, too much fat just makes me sleepy, especially if I'm eating like a burger that has a bun, like there's carbs in it, you know? I don't need all the extra fat. So, and I cooked you cook the meat and the grease comes out like it's already pretty fatty and it's a fatty cut. It's 80-20. Usually I go for the leanest cuts, but what I've been trying to do with this new resurgence of mine of like getting back on track with my habits is like I'm not demonizing myself in any way. So I bought a bag of chips and some salsa and I was like, I'm going to have a burger, chips and salsa every day this week. That is my lunch and that is my promise to myself. If I'm not at home, I'm going to go to In-N-Out, Gott's Roadside, whatever place I want to go to, and I'm going to get a burger and that's all I'm going to eat. And it was so satiating, you guys, that like I didn't really have lunch today. I had like maybe a couple spoonfuls of clam chowder. It was so satiating, you guys. All I had for dinner was like some milk and cookies that I'm looking at right now. And I didn't even finish the milk and cookie. And I'm going to throw that cookie away because I'm not hungry. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to take my ass to bed. And like, that is what I'm looking for in my life is more of that. And okay, I will admit I had espresso earlier. So I think that's a part of why I'm not hungry. And I had Trisha's Donuts at Pier 39, which they're really good. And if you ever go to Pier 39 in San Francisco, get the Trisha's mini donut bucket, especially with your family. Y'all will eat that up in like 2 seconds with cinnamon sugar on top. Oh my God, so good. So I had that. And then we also I had some crab, but I don't really fuck with crab. Like, I don't really like crab at all. And then what else did I eat? Oh, this morning I had avocado toast. So I had avocado toast, a solid breakfast. So even by the time we got out to Fisherman's Wharf, I wasn't even really like super starving where I was like, I need food. I just had like some clam chowder, which was pretty filling. And I didn't eat the whole thing. I just ate like half of it. And then I also had a bite of crab. And then I had those donuts and then I had the espresso. And that really was like pretty solid. And then when I got home, I was hungry and I had food. I had the burger, which was amazing. And I feel like that was like enough food for me today. And it wasn't like what I would call like a typical day. Like sometimes even when I make plans for food, it's like, oh my gosh, I have to eat exactly what I planned. Otherwise, I messed up. And it's like, bro, like, no, you don't. Like, you can just eat and like track it. So that's like another piece of what I'm doing is like on my phone, which I would show you guys, but it's what's recording me. On my phone, I have a app. I will maybe just put like a little screenshot of what I use here on my little wonderful hand. But what I do is I just try to make a list of breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks that I eat every day. I'm doing that for the next like a week. And then what I'm going to do is like figure out more portion control. Cause I think right now what's happening is like I'm not portioning my food out in a way that's going to create a deficit. Now I'm also training for a bike race. So that's like where some of this has to like figure out of like what days do I eat more on, what days do I not eat more on. The goal for me is to just ride 6 to 8 hours a week, right? So I need to spend at least 6 to 8 hours a week on my bike, whether that's 1 6 hour bike ride or one like last week alone, I think I spent probably like almost 8 hours on my bike. So that's like a long time. And I'm training for this race because last year I didn't train for it and it was really hard on my body and I kind of went on like a binge spiral afterwards. And I don't want to do that this year. And I actually would much prefer to have like a day where I nourish myself. So like now I know like on my 1 hour bike rides, I only need like a little like fruit or something to start the bike ride. But on my 3 hour bike rides, I need like a solid like protein bar. Like I should probably like, a decent light fruity, maybe like meat breakfast, like chicken or something, like a chicken, like a small chicken salad or something. Like nothing crazy because I don't want to poop, but like basically like I need to eat some level of protein before I go. And then I need to have something on me because being on your bike for 3 hours in San Francisco with all these hills, like your body does get like exhausted. And like when I went on my bike ride last week, I realized it was kind of messing with my mental health a little bit. So I think being an active person dealing with food addiction or overeating, binge eating, whatever you want to call it, it makes it hard to really understand your limits because you're being pulled in two directions. And I never thought of exercise as being like the one thing that's creating the issue for me. But I got rid of my gym membership and my weight just went. And I was like, why the fuck did my weight go up? But I'm realizing the exercise was the only thing keeping me from being like overweight. And now my weight is like higher than I want it to be. And I'm like, it's because I'm eating too much, right? So if the gym was the only thing that was keeping me from being hella overweight, like, no wonder I wasn't losing weight, because I wasn't actually doing what I needed to do, which was eat well. So stopping my gym membership actually has been teaching me that, like, girl, if you want to lose this weight, you gotta do 80% of food changes. And so for me, really what it is gonna be is like, it's gonna be portion control. I'm just trying to think if I took the cookies out of the oven, and I think I did because I don't hear beeping. Hold on. Okay, yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. They're just on the thing. They're just on the thing. But yeah, dudes, like, I need to figure out who I am outside of my fitness endeavors. So yeah, I'm training for a bike race right now. And you guys are like, well, that's the antithesis of stopping working out. But it's like literally all I was doing was meditating and going on walks up until me training for this bike race. I should have started training for this bike race like way earlier. But sometimes you just be doing things that you shouldn't be doing. So tomorrow I am going to do my 1 hour bike ride. I'm going to wake up at like 6:30, get out on my bike, ride for however long it takes me. Some days I don't even, so what I found matters is actually the time you spend on your bike. So mileage doesn't matter, distance doesn't matter. What matters is the amount of time you spend riding on your bike. Because from what I've read on these little forums of bike riding is that ultimately mileage it's easy to get mileage on a bike, right? Riding 18 miles in a day can be so different depending on what terrain you're on. So for the race that I'm training for, it's specifically for an MS bike race. There's an end date. I know when it's going to end. When I stop riding my bike as often, I'm just going to go back to my walks. I was really liking that. It was great. I was able to do it. It wasn't making me too hungry. So I never felt like I was outside of what I needed to do. I could combine it with other workouts and I never got super exhausted, right? It was like my friend would invite me to do this class. I would go do indoor cycling. I would go to dance class. I never felt too hungry. When I was doing weightlifting, I was always so hungry because, I mean, when you're weightlifting, you're burning a lot of energy. And I was building, like, I mean, my body, I can still feel some of the muscles that I built last year. I haven't been keeping on to them, and I'll get back into the gym eventually. But like right now, it's like I have my little 15 pounds, I have my little kettlebell. I don't really need to go to the gym and lift like super duper heavy weights because right now, weightlifting isn't what I'm focused on. It's the food. And I think the best way to not get involved with all of that like crazy mind drama is to just focus on one thing at a time. And so right now what I'm focusing on is my food and my portioning. So all my promises to myself is this week, and what I encourage y'all to do is just really be mindful and conscious of everything that you put in your food. Something I was listening to a really good podcast, and the lady said, the future doesn't exist except for anywhere else in your mind. And I think she got this quote off of someone else, right? The future doesn't exist except for anywhere else in your mind. You are the present, you are now. The past is already gone. It doesn't matter. You get to start over right now in this moment. And I'm recording this episode and I'm starting over. And yeah, I was like MIA for like hella, but it doesn't matter because if I choose to do this today, tomorrow, for like the next 2 months, every single day, I've just now changed the past of me not doing it. And it applies to all things in life. So I just want to say that to myself and also to whoever's watching this, that the battle of overeating, binge eating, and all that stuff is like letting all of that past issues of food go. The problem being, oftentimes it's tied to some emotional level of trauma, boredom, whatever that may be. And so I have to sort of get to this place where I stand firm in who I am. So, like, all that talk about I can change my life and end my lease and go live in the middle of the desert and pay off all my debt, like, that's kind of what I was getting at, was that there is a place in your life that maybe is really hurting you. For anybody who's watching this podcast, it might be your weight, it might be your overeating, it might be your secret eating, it might be your binge eating, right? If you are not losing weight, you're eating you're putting too much food in your body. Even if you're active like me, like I'm so active, I should be like 120 pounds right now, but I'm not. Why? Because I overeat. Why do I overeat? I've gotten to the point where I realize it's because I get into my head about things and I keep going into the past and going to the future and going to the past and going to the future. And I never really think about myself right now. And right now, today, I'm really proud of what I did. I enjoyed myself. I went out on a date with my person and we had so much fun. And then we ate I didn't make a big deal about the food. I wasn't like stressed at any point. Were there things that I could have changed? Sure. Could I have been more vocal about like, hey, I really want to stay on track? Yeah, but I don't think it would have helped me because the idea is to not make food this big thing. It's just to be mindful. I don't need to attack food and be like, I'm only allowed to eat this. And it's because I put it on my meal plate. It's like, girl, no. I was in a situation where I was out and about. If they didn't have what I wanted to eat for my specific meal plan, I have enough knowledge in my mind to be like, well, what's something that would satiate you right now? And to be completely honest, I wasn't even that hungry. And so there's that too. There's that piece too, where it's like, if I was dead set on food, I would have been like, we need to sit down and eat somewhere. And then that would have been the end of the discussion. And I could have ordered something. But because I wasn't hungry enough to be like, we need to sit somewhere and eat, I was able to sort of be like, well, oh, I could have this and then drink some water and then have a little bit of this and I'll be fine. And so it worked well for me. And then when I came back home for dinner, that's when I knew I'm going to make myself what I was going to make for lunch because that would actually fill me up more than what I wanted to put on my dinner menu. And that's really what I was looking forward to eating, anyways. So I think there's a piece of this too that's like, if your ideal dinner is a literally McDonald's chicken nuggets 10 piece with a small fry or whatever, let's say you normally get 40 chicken nuggets or 20 and a large fry, just order 20 and eat half and then save the other half for breakfast. Like it becomes so simple when you realize you don't need to demonize what you're eating, but how much of it you're eating. And I think eventually the battle does become what you're eating. And of course, for me, there's a lot of underlying issues that I know I have, like hormonally, that like really play into me not wanting to eat certain foods because I'm like, I just know that's going to make my stomach feel terrible. But like those Doritos Dynamitas, they dyed my tongue red and they did not help me this morning when I got up. But I needed to eat that. I just was like, this is what I'm going to eat and I'm going to do it. And I don't care what the consequences are. And I had that moment and I immediately was like, you know what? I actually don't regret it. That's what I wanted and that's what I needed to do. And I feel so much better waking up in the morning because after not demonizing myself for eating the whole small bag of chips or whatever, I woke up this morning and I was like, I get to choose what I get to eat today. Yesterday, I ate all that other stuff. Not the best moment, not my shining moment, right? But it's not like I went out and started drinking and then ate more. I've been not drinking alcohol, just a choice of my own. It's not like I went out and got like, super high and got the munchies. Like I ate a bag of chips. I didn't do anything crazy, but because I ate that bag of chips, now I get to decide, am I going to do the same thing today? Am I going to choose something different? And so for me, I think a lot of this becomes choices. And the choices you make are based off of the information and the content that you get. And so I spend a lot of time listening to people who talk specifically about science based ideas and facts on how to lose weight, on how to approach your weight loss. I specifically listen to one podcast, Half Size Me. It's this woman who basically has been coaching for 10 years and she lost like 100 and something crazy pounds. And she's been maintaining it for like a long time. And so I think she lost the weight 12 years ago and then she has been maintaining it for a certain amount of time after 10 years. And she talks about it all the time on her podcast. And she has all these people come on, clients, listeners of the podcast. And she talks to them about like what it really takes to understand how to portion your food and how to just really live a lifestyle that allows you to be in the weight range that you want. And so I think for this episode, we're just talking about me, but then I'm also kind of trying to impart onto others that it's okay to not eat the healthy things to lose the weight. I see the people that eat those healthy things to lose the weight, but I also see the lifestyle that they live. Their lives revolve around the gym. I kind of decided earlier this year, I love going to the gym because it's like a playground. But I also don't just want to like live in the gym. It's just not what I want to do right now. For whatever reason, like when I was living in Santa Rosa, when I was living in like all these small towns, like the gym just happened to be like a fun social space. A lot of people go there. You can talk to a lot of people there. I spent hours in the gym, not because I was working out, but because I like met up with people, right? Like just ran into people and I was like, oh, hey, what's up? Or like you meet someone who's like doing something or whatever. Like it's a social space. Um, and so that was what I needed when I was living in that area. Now that I've moved to a bigger city where I can socialize in a lot of different ways, I actually don't want my life to revolve around the gym. And so when I was coming to the city, I felt like the gym was isolating, where I was like, oh, I don't want to just go to the gym and work out and like do my little 5, 10 sets. I want to go run with somebody. I want to go bike with someone. I want to go dance with somebody. I want to like meet people and be fit. And so I have found that for me personally, while the gym is a great resource, it's actually not where my interest lies currently. And so if I'm going to do my little weights, I'm going to do them at home. But when I want to do exercise, like this race that I'm training for, it's a social thing. I'm going to be with a group of people, a team. hmm So, yeah, that's kind of just where I'm at right now. That's how I feel. I think everyone has to find their thing. Some people do a really good job of the gym thing. They eat their little foods, they have their little gym life, and they love that. And they love the results it gets them. I want those results, but I want to do it my way. And so, ooh, girl, you're still losing weight. But it's like, ooh, girl, have you found the routine? Have you found the routine? Have you found the food lifestyle that's going to work for you? Are you okay with eating the same 5 meals on rotation to get that body that you want? Are you going to bake like 17 cookies and maybe have like two in one day on accident and then, continue your life? Are you going to eat a little bit more chips than you needed to? Are you going to have an off day more than once a week? Like, what does that look like for you? And I think that's what I've been afraid to really attack. And when I look at the food that's in my kitchen, when I look at what I really want, it's like, I love to bake. I love cookies. I love banana bread. I love sweets and treats and chips. Some people are like, I love sweets or I love savory. I happen to love both. So it's like, not only do I love chips, but I also love cookies and I also love cake. I had a fruit cake. When my person came over, the first thing he brought over was the most delicious fruit cake from like our favorite Chinese bakery. And I'm like, I didn't even care because I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't really eaten anything since the Avo toast. I totally forgot about that till now. And so, like, that's what I'm saying is like, there's going to be these moments in life where you're just, am I going to really turn this down because I want a six pack? Maybe, maybe you're that girl, but I know I'm not. So then the question then becomes, well, what am I going to do day to day so that when those moments happen, right? Because had he not come over, maybe it wouldn't have happened, right? Or if I told him, don't give it to me, I don't want it, like he wouldn't have brought it. But like, it was such a sweet moment. And of course, I want to share cake with my person. Like, hello, romantic. But at the same time, I don't also want to like always be making these exceptions for me on my end. Like, well, I know that that's going to happen, so I'm not going to do this, or I'm going to do it like this so that when this happens, it's fine. Like, where am I putting my line? Where am I holding my line in social situations and when I'm by myself? And that is what I'm learning how to do on this podcast. And that is what I'm here to talk to you all about is how to just join me on this journey of like self-discovery of food, having a fun life around fitness, and still being active. Like I rode 3 hours on my expensive road bike in San Francisco and I had to walk up hills on the way back because my thighs stopped working. The same thighs that I like just dissed because I said I haven't been in the gym as often as I could be. So there's like a lot of layers to all of this, but I think the best part of this is that it's life, in that I would hope other people who struggle with food can see me, look at me and understand that like I'm not here to say that I'm going to solve your problems, but I'm going to be here and say, "Girl, I'm hungry. I love food, but I also love to be fit and I also want to be in a place where I can enjoy both, but understand that like I'm not going to be able to have it all because I enjoy being fit just a little bit more, enough so that I can't just be eating all I want to eat all the time." My age, I've aged out of that category. I used to have a little bit more leeway in my younger 20s, and I understand that now that I've stopped going to the gym. So my time has come to tighten it up, stop getting all my pleasure and my fun moments of joy from food, and start really just living my life and being present, not worrying about the future, not worrying about the past, and staying in the present and asking myself, is the decision I'm making right now helping me or hurting me? And if I choose not to be honest to myself and I say, who cares? That's going to be, ooh, girl, you still losing weight? You almost 30. Yeah, girl, you could have fooled me. Anyways, Hope that was an entertaining episode. It might be a little bit long, but I feel like this is like a good epi because it's kind of my, hey, I'm back. But then also, this is why I've been gone. And so, yeah, enjoy. Maybe I said I was going to do a what I eat in the day, but I'm terrible at filming vlogs. How about I take you guys on a bike ride tomorrow? I'll vlog this week. I will vlog this week. And I'll put my vlogs up on Friday. So it's like every day until Friday. Okay. Peace out, y'all. Bye.